interesting process we're going to keep an eye on. Now let me give the floor Dmitry Siginevich, RosEnergoAtom. Let's hear about the nuclear sector. It's been mentioned a lot. It looks like it should be the core of the low-carbon development of the power sector. Dmitry? Good afternoon. Can you hear me well enough? Yes, we can. Thank you. Well, of course, the fuel and energy complex is the key emitter of GHG gases, so internationally and nationally, the key role belongs to it. So an optimum balance should be found between the sources of energy and the measures to achieve the carbon neutrality. The nuclear sector, as opposed to wind or solar, features one of the lowest indicators of greenhouse gas emissions, including not only direct but also indirect emissions. This is why to develop strategic documents, in developing strategies, we need to focus on the development of the nuclear sector. And by the way, I know that BP and IEA, as they look at greener scenarios, write that the share of the nuclear energy should be higher. In other words, international experts recognize nukes as a necessary source in achieving the carbon neutrality. And that is also because wind and solar will not be able to cover all the needs because of their stochastic conditions and dependency on the weather, not to mention the Texas situation that was not only because of the renewables, but we see similar examples from time to time in Europe from time to time because of the stochasticity. So we need to have a stable baseline generation, and nuclear generation is exactly that source of low carbon energy. As for other nations, approaches differ. There are certain doubts on the part of European colleagues and counterparts as to how certification should be done for the nuclear energy, but quite a lot of countries already support this idea. Emerging economies in the first place, who are thinking of developing nukes, China and India, and President Biden also included nuclear energy in their energy development plan. And the EU also has some proponents of this idea in France and Czech Republic and some other countries who consider nukes as a potential tool for achieving the carbon-related targets. Of course, there are certain vulnerabilities there, and we know that in order for Russia to maintain a competitive position in the energy balance, we need to work on reducing the capex there. And VBR-TOI is the new nuclear unit type that we are working on. Another problem is what to do with burnt fuel and disposal of burnt nuclear fuel. We're working on respective technologies and building new facilities, trying to conclude this nuclear cycle. If that is done, the burnt fuel from one unit type could be used at another unit type to do further generation. Our target by 2030, our objective by 2030 is to do a demonstration of a closed-loop nuclear, closed-cycle nuclear unit. Another venue is working on better safety and better public awareness. The new generation of energy units is very different from what the Fukushima station had. Very different safety systems, and of course, seismic factors must be taken into account wherever the station is built. So our key objective is to make sure that nuclear sector is recognized as clean and safe based on its advantages, and that recognition should come from the international community. There is another important opportunity that we could rely on: hydrogen strategies. Hydrogen development is another priority abroad, and there are high chances for hydrogen to become important. The nuclear generation could become a potential supplier of energy to produce hydrogen by electrolysis, which is possible already now. And RosEnergoAtom investment program already now includes a project for high-temperature cooled reactors, which is another technology able to generate hydrogen. That's where we can combine the development of both nuclear and hydrogen energy parallel to each other in our strategies. As for our plans, the share of the nukes in 2020 exceeded 20% in total electricity generated, and our further plans are such that our further plans, as supported by the instruction from the President, is implying working out the proposals to be included in the general strategy, is reaching the 25% share by 2045. Of course, Rosatom has an international agenda too, and we want to provide symmetrical recognition of low-carbon energy certificates, both in Russia and abroad. Among other things, to avoid dual carbon taxation, among other things. I mentioned hydrogen, and another task is to have hydrogen certified if produced using the nuclear energy as a clean or low-carbon energy source. That should be relevant for our international counterparts who could be potential buyers of hydrogen. Thank you. Let me stop at this. Thank you, Dmitry. We quite agree that for Russia, this matter of certification of nuclear energy and then hydrogen generated using nuclear energy, that's one of the key issues that we need to work on. Let's hope we could really achieve